So, welcome back to Subliminal Signals. I'm Carlton, and I'm going to sit up so that I'm not slouching like I was in the last episode. And we're now 12 episodes into this journey of identifying and resetting the thought patterns that keep us stuck in cycles we don't even recognize. So if you've been following along, you know we've tackled some deep signals, right? Some deep ones, like feeling behind and perfectionism, needing certainty, people pleasing, timing excuses. We've even talked about success sabotage and age excuses. And last time we talked about scarcity thinking. But today's subliminal signal might be one of the most insidious ones yet, because it's the one that makes you reject the very things you've been working towards. It's the signal that activates right when something good is about to happen. It's that voice that whispers, you don't deserve it, even as you're achieving it. It's the thought that makes you sabotage your own success because deep down you don't feel worthy of it. Today's signal is, I don't deserve this. And if you felt a little uncomfortable hearing that, or if you've ever found yourself deflecting compliments, minimizing achievements, or mysteriously self sabotaging right when things are going well, then this episode is going to go and it's going to be perfect for you. And it's going to expose the worthiness wall that's been keeping you from fully receiving what you've earned. It's really a silent success killer. Most people think that unworthiness shows up as obvious self hatred or like low self esteem, but the worthiness wall is much more subtle than that. It's the high achiever who can't accept a compliment. It's the successful person who attributes that everything that they've received and gotten to luck. It's the talented person who continuously downplays their own contributions. You might have worked incredibly hard to get where you are, and you might have overcome significant obstacles. You might even have genuinely earned every bit of success you've achieved. But if there's a part of you that doesn't believe you deserve it, you'll find ways to give it back. You'll push it away or you'll diminish its value. And this can show up in a lot of different ways. You get the promotion, but you immediately focus on how you might not be qualified. You achieve a goal, but you can't celebrate because you're already worried about maintaining it. Someone will give you a compliment at work, and you'll immediately list everything that was wrong with what you did. The worthiness wall doesn't just keep you from enjoying your success, it keeps you from building on them because you don't believe that you deserve what you have, and you won't believe you deserve more. If you don't believe you deserve more, you won't reach for anything new. So here's what your brain is doing when unworthiness kicks in. Your brain has something called the self concept system. It's a collection of beliefs about who you are and what you deserve. Now, this system largely forms in childhood and is based on the messages you received about your value, about your capabilities, and about your place in the world. Now, when something good happens that doesn't match your internal self concept, your brain treats it as inconsistency, and that needs to be resolved. And here's the problem, your brain would rather maintain consistency with your self concept than allow you to experience something that contradicts it. And this is what we call cognitive dissonance reduction, right? So your brain will literally create thoughts, feelings, and behaviors designed to bring you back to your external reality and get you back into alignment with those internal beliefs about what you deserve. And this is why people sabotage relationships, they sabotage jobs. This is why they quit when they're promoted. This is why people will create problems right when everything is going well. It's not self destruction, it's protection of their self concept. You see, the brain is trying to keep you safe by keeping you consistent with who it thinks you are. But if you think you are, but who you, but blah, 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 let's try this. But if who you think you are is someone who doesn't deserve good things, that safety becomes a prison. So, as we're talking about worthiness and self concept, I'm reminded of something I see in all of my clients that I work with. It's that moment when they realize their biggest obstacle isn't some external circumstance, it's their own subconscious programming about what they deserve. These worthiness blocks, these deep seated beliefs about our value and capabilities, they're not just mindset issues. They're subconscious programs that were installed years ago, sometimes even decades ago, and they run automatically unless we consciously intervene. And that's where my hypnotherapy work becomes so powerful. You see, in hypnotic state, we can access those deep programs and literally rewrite them. And instead of trying to override unworthiness with willpower, we can reprogram the subconscious beliefs that create worthiness issues in the first place. And if you've been listening to these episodes and recognizing yourself in these patterns, if you're tired of sabotaging your own success or deflecting your achievements, I'd love to explore how hypnotherapy could help you in a free 30-minute discovery call. This isn't a sales call, it's a genuine conversation about where you're stuck, what you want to create, and whether hypnotherapy is the right fit for your goals. We'll look at the specific patterns that are keeping you limited and design a custom approach to rewire them at the subconscious level. You can book your free discovery call at coachingkaleidoscope.com. Again, that's coachingkaleidoscope.com. Because here's what I know about worthiness: you already deserve everything you're working towards. Sometimes you just need help remembering that at the subconscious level. All right, let's get back to breaking down that worthiness wall. So there are four faces of unworthiness that can show up, and it shows up differently in different people. So let's see if you recognize yourself in these patterns. The first one is the deflector. This is someone who can't accept compliments or acknowledgement. And when someone praises your work, you immediately redirect credit to your team, to luck, or some circumstance. You're more comfortable giving than receiving. Then we have the minimizer. This is where you constantly downplay your achievements and capabilities. You'll say things like, "Ah, it was nothing," or anyone could have done it, or I just got lucky. And you make your successes smaller so they feel more believable. Then we have the imposter. This is the one that lives in constant fear of being found out, found out as someone who's not capable as people think you are, that you're not as capable as people think you are. You attribute your success to external factors and worry that people will discover that you're not really qualified for your positions or your achievements. And lastly, there's the self saboteur. You create problems, you make poor decisions right when things are starting to go well. You'll pick fights with your partner when your relationship is getting better. You'll procrastinate on opportunities that could advance your career. You find ways to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. So, which of those patterns feels familiar for you? Because each one is actually a protection mechanism, a way your psyche is trying to keep you safe from the danger of receiving more than you believe you deserve. For me, like I said, I am definitely in the imposter camp. I have to constantly fight and struggle within myself to make sure that I'm not um, feeling like a fraud when I am presenting, when I am receiving accolades, anytime something positive is happening. And it's just the thing that I have been working on myself to recognize. And this is where your reset tool comes in for this week. So instead of saying things like, I don't deserve this, I want you to say, I deserve this because I've earned it. Or you can say, I'm worthy of receiving this. Because, and the thing about this particular reset is that it's going to require some evidence and not just the affirmation itself. So I want you to do a worthiness inventory exercise. So here's how we do it. Start by documenting your contributions. So make a list of the specific actions, skills, and efforts, the sacrifices that led to your current achievements. Don't minimize anything, like really inventory what you've put into the work. Then acknowledge your growth. How have you developed as a person to be able to handle what you have? What capabilities have you built? What wisdom have you gained? Then I want you to recognize your impact. How have your efforts benefited other people? Who have you helped with your work and with your presence, with your contributions? What positive difference have you made? Then I want you to identify your unique value. What is it that you bring that others don't? And what's your specific combination of skills, perspective, and experience that creates value? And finally, I want you to connect effort to outcome. I want you to draw clear lines between what you've invested and what you've received. See that cause and effect relationship between your efforts and your results. Because the goal isn't to become arrogant or entitled. The goal is to develop an accurate assessment of your worth based on evidence rather than old programming. So, where does this unworthiness come from? Understanding where unworthiness comes from can help us to recognize it's not about who we are now. It's about the messages that we received when we were too young to evaluate their accuracy. Maybe you grew up in a family where love was conditional or it was based on performance. So you learned that your worth was tied to what you did rather than who you are. Maybe you experienced criticism or rejection that taught you to expect disappointment. So you learned to protect yourself by not expecting or accepting good things. Maybe you were raised with messages about not getting too big for your britches or who do you think you are? So you learned that success was dangerous to your belonging. Maybe you witnessed family members struggle despite their efforts. So you learn that good things don't last or they don't happen to people like you. These weren't conscious lessons. They were absorbed at the subconscious level when your critical thinking wasn't developed enough to question them. And they've been running your life ever since, even though the circumstances that created them no longer exist. The little kid who learned they weren't worthy is still making decisions for the adult who has proven their worth repeatedly. And it's time to update that programming. So, speaking of programming, let me tell you about one of the most important times to address these subconscious patterns right before sleep. Your brain is most receptive to new programming during the transition from consciousness to sleep. That's when your logical mind relaxes and your subconscious becomes more open to positive suggestions and new beliefs. And that's why I created the sleep reset. It's a 12-minute guided hypnosis session designed not just to help you fall asleep faster, but to plant seeds of positive programming while your mind is in a receptive state. The sleep reset uses specific techniques to calm your nervous system, quiet mental chatter, and guide your brain into restorative sleep patterns. But it also includes subtle suggestions for self worth, confidence, and deservingness that your subconscious absorbs as you drift off. Instead of going to sleep replaying your mistakes or worrying about tomorrow, you'll drift off with messages about your capabilities, your worth, and your potential. Night after night, this gentle reprogramming helps build the foundation for greater self acceptance and worthiness. You can download the sleep reset absolutely free at coachingkaleidoscope.com/sleep-reset. And it's my gift to help you start each day from a foundation of rest and self worth. Because when you sleep better, you feel more worthy. And when you feel more worthy, you show up better for everything in your life. Grab your free sleep reset at coachingkaleidoscope.com/sleep-reset and start reprogramming worthiness while you sleep. All right, let's continue breaking down that worthiness wall. So, let me be direct about what unworthiness is costing you because I don't think any of us really realize that true price. Number one, it costs you opportunities because when you don't believe you deserve good things, you don't pursue them with full conviction. You will self select out of opportunities before others even have a chance to reject you. It costs you relationships. When you can't receive love or appreciation or support, you train people to stop offering it. Your inability to accept good things eventually exhausts the people trying to give them to you. It also costs you momentum. When you can't celebrate your wins or build on your successes, you lose the motivational fuel that comes from acknowledging progress. You're constantly starting from zero instead of building from your achievements. It also costs you joy. When you deflect compliments and you minimize achievements and you can't receive good things fully, you rob yourself of the satisfaction and happiness that should come from your efforts. And finally, it costs you growth. When you can't see your own capabilities and contributions accurately, you underestimate what you're capable of next. You aim lower than you could reach because you don't believe you deserve to reach higher. And most tragically, unworthiness costs you the full expression of who you're meant to be. When you're constantly questioning whether you deserve what you have, you can't fully step into what you could become. So I want you this week to practice what I call conscious receiving. Here's how. When someone gives you a compliment, simply say thank you without deflecting, minimizing, or redirecting. Let the compliment land and feel it in your body and really recognize what you're experiencing in that moment. When something good happens, then I want you to take a moment to acknowledge your role in creating it. Connect your efforts to the outcome. Say, I earned this, or I created this. When you achieve something, celebrate it proportionally. Don't immediately move on to the next goal or find flaws in your accomplishment. Give yourself credit for what you've done. And this is where I think some of the coaching does a disservice because I remember early on, one of my coaches used to say all the time, yesterday ended last night. And so I get it. You know, we shouldn't dwell on the achievements that we've done in the past because that keeps us from moving forward. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't celebrate them in the moment. But anyway, that's kind of a digression. And when you receive support, accept it gracefully without feeling like you have to immediately reciprocate or prove you're worth it. Let yourself be helped. And when opportunities arise, consider them based on whether they align with your goals, not whether you deserve them. Assume you're worthy and decide from there. And like I mentioned before about feeling it in your body, I want you to notice how this feels. Notice the discomfort that might arise when you fully receive instead of deflect. That discomfort is your worthiness wall trying to protect you from the danger of receiving more than your old programming says you deserve. But that discomfort is also the feeling of growth. Each time you fully receive instead of deflecting, you're expanding your capacity to have and be more. And when you break down your worthiness wall, you don't just change your own life, you give others permission to claim their worth too. Worthiness, like unworthiness, is contagious. When you accept compliments gracefully, you model for others that it's safe to receive appreciation. When you celebrate your accomplishments and your achievements, you show others that success can be acknowledged without arrogance. And when you pursue opportunities from a place of worthiness, you demonstrate that good things are available to people just like us. Your children learn that they deserve love and success not because they're perfect, but because they're human. Your colleagues see that accomplishments can be owned with both humility and pride. Your friends discover that they don't have to minimize themselves to maintain your friendship. You become a living example of what it looks like to know your worth and to live from it. And in a world full of people apologizing for their existence, that's a revolutionary act. So until next time, remember you don't have to earn worthiness, you already have it. And you don't have to prove you deserve good things. Your humanity is proof enough. You don't have to wait until you're perfect to claim what you already earned. You see, the worthiness wall isn't protecting you, it's limiting you. That voice that says, I don't deserve this, isn't keeping you humble, it's keeping you small. You deserve to succeed, and you deserve the success you've worked for. You deserve all the love that you've cultivated and all the opportunities that you've created. You deserve the life that you're building, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're no worse than anyone else. Not because you're perfect, because perfection isn't the price of admission. So thanks for being here. And thanks for being willing to examine beliefs about your own worth that you might have carried for decades. Thanks for considering that maybe, just maybe, you deserve every good thing that's coming your way. And I'll see you next week with another subliminal signal that's probably keeping you smaller than you're meant to be. Until then, keep resetting and remember, you are worthy, not because of what you do, but because of who you are.